All right, folks, we are going to be live on the radio air and doing some makeup demos here. We're down in Cleveland State, and we got DJ Black Juju, and we're going to be doing a demo today. We're doing some simple things. We're going to be doing wax, and we're going to be doing some powders, but it's things that if you're new or you've been doing it for a while, something you can succeed at the very first time you use it. So with that, go ahead and watch it. We're going to have the radio, and we're going to be jumping in and out of music, but we'll be demoing and talking it through as we go. Have you ever been in special effects makeup before?
I have not.
You have not. So today is going to be the first time. And do we want to, are you going to jump in, or do you want to just jump in and kind of work on this? Do you have any announcements that you need to make or any breaking music?
Yes.
All right, so we're just going to wait. For those of you who are joining live, feel free to shoot a question out. We have a former friend, and Helen Von Schneider is going to man the camera. And she'll also, if there's any questions and you're watching this live feed, she can always just ask those out. We can answer them. Or if you ask them later, we'll get back to you if you're looking at this thing in next week or on Halloween night or in 2025. We can answer those questions. All right, so what we're doing today.
Well, are you going to go on the air first?
Yeah, you want to go on the air first?
Yeah,
okay, let's go on the air first. We're using Cinewax.
Hey y'all, I'm the listening audience. You're listening to WCSB Cleveland. Today we have a special studio guest to prepare us for the Halloween weekend. He's a special effects makeup artist, Roger Miller, and he is doing makeup for performances at the Masquerade of the Red Death this Saturday, a formal wear party at Akron Civic Center.
All right, we are excited that you guys are joining us. We're also going to be streaming live, and if Helen, if we look at the website, you'll be able to find a link or how to view this as well.
WCSB Facebook page, and we'll be posting it on our blog tomorrow.
Perfect. We're going to go ahead and jump in here and start this makeup effect. We're using Cinewax or a Dermawax. It's a quick, easy prosthetic and appliance that somebody who has never used it before can do so with great success. We're also going to be using some basic makeup powders to create a look that is convincing and a quick appliance as well. Our goal is to be within 30 minutes from start to end and to get a look that is striking. All right.
You want to put a music bed underneath this there, yes. DJ Juju?
Yes. Let's tune it back to Badger Lore with your discomfort, my happiness.
Perfect. All right. For those of you who are on Facebook, if you've seen a lot of my streaming, you've seen me use wax before. Essentially what we're going to do, and we're going to spin DJ Juju around here, whichever way we want to go. What we're doing is we're just getting some we're using some spirit gum as an anchor. This is just a matte spirit gum. Some people, you can put the Dermawax right on the skin, but I always like to use a little bit of an anchor just to kind of hold it down. Some people, if they sweat or if it's hot, sometimes that wax will run. So I'm using just a little base of spirit gum. I'm just using some Maron spirit gum. Nothing fancy here. We'll give it just a minute to dry, and then we're just going to apply the wax right on top of it. Today we're just going to do a bullet hole. It's quick and it's fast, and a pretty simple one where if you've never done it before, you can succeed the very first time. I'm going to step around and grab a paintbrush as you guys are. All right, sorry for that call coming in. I'm just taking a little bit of the Dermawax, or in this case I'm using the Krylon Cinewax. And I just grabbed a little bit out of it. I just kind of raked a little bit out because I don't need a lot for this application. If you were creating maybe some ear tips, or you're creating a nose or a large scar, you would rake out more, of course. But I think sometimes it's easier to get smaller amounts and build up than to grab a huge glob, stick it on somebody's forehead, and then kind of rake it off. I think starting in smaller amounts is the best way to do it. All I'm doing is kind of kneading this wax between my hands. You'll see there's nothing particularly fancy about it. I'm just going to pull off about half of it. And you remember that spirit gum, I'm just kind of tapping it down to make sure it's dry.
How long do you want to wait?
For the spirit gum?
Yeah.
Spirit gum is going to be fast. As a matter of fact, it's a light coat. If you just kind of tap it, you'll feel it tack up. So instead of saying 30 seconds or 60 seconds, just kind of tack it. And once you start to feel it kind of become just a little bit sticky, and you'll see some of that shine is taken off, then it's time to go ahead and apply the wax. All I'm doing here is pressing down the wax. And we're just going to sculpt it here right on her forehead. Again, you'll see that I use that spirit gum as an anchor, and you'll see it's not moving around at all. If you were applying this right to the skin, this wax would probably be moving. What I'm going to do is just going to kind of roll down this wax, provide a cleaner edge. If you find that the wax is sticking like it did just now, just grab a little bit of maybe Vaseline or a makeup remover. You can apply it right to the back of the brush, and then just push it right on down. The goal here is to just blend out those edges. Again, it's easier to hide the edges now than hide them later. If this is just a quick makeup for maybe a Halloween look or for a party, you might not take as much time on this step, but most makeup artists will spend some time just on this detail. Again, I just grabbed a little more makeup remover, blend down the edges. Again, you would imagine if I had a huge chunk on her forehead, then this job would take a little bit longer. All right, now that I've got that done, I'm going to go in. I'm just going to sculpt this way a little bit. So I'm just pressing the back of my brush right into the wax. And it create kind of an irregular look. How does that look? Are we good on light?
Yeah, we are pretty good on light, I
Good.
think. Viewers at home, I see you. Are we good on light here?
For those of you who watch Tuesday at 7, you guys know it's not 7 o'clock, it's the afternoon. But we wanted to go ahead and provide this demo.
I'm getting real close here on this.
Yeah.
So you can see.
Yeah, you'll see what we're creating is this three-dimensional hole in right here in the forehead. We're going to get kind of big and silly with this because we want it to be seen from afar. So,
Are you keeping some wax against the forehead, or are you going right down to the skin?
you know what? It's all preference. I'm going to go, you'll see, I think the skin is poking through just a bit. I'm just going deep because I like that big topography. If you want a subtle look, you'll want just a small amount of wax on the forehead, but we want a large kind of effect here so they can be seen from a far end, so those folks that are watching on Facebook can see it as well. All right, I'm gonna want to make this a little bit irregular here. All right, now that we've done that, what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of latex. Get latex pretty much everywhere. I'm just going to put a little bit of a skin on the outside. This latex you guys will probably smell has kind of an ammonia smell to it. You guys can smell that? You don't have a latex allergy, do you?
No.
Where do you pick up latex like that?
Well, there's a couple local folks that I pick it up from. There is Monster Makers, they're local. There is the makeup store, which is local. And then there's Screamline, which is local. The reason I talk about those local folks is because they're open year round. You could pick these up at a Halloween store. You could pick it up. You tend to get, probably less quality product if you're just picking it up at a store that just pops up during the Halloween time and then disappears again. But you could pick it up there as well. Again, I like the local because I can pick it up in February or in the middle of summer if we're doing some type of look here. Again, you'll see all I'm doing is coating this down. We're only a few minutes in and we've already kind of created this topography, this look. I'm going to go ahead and close it back up, my latex, letting that latex dry there. And once it's dry, we're just going to paint it. And so whether you are creating a bullet wound or a scar or you were creating a nose, you'll see that this is dermal wax is a nose and scar wax. You create a different nose. You can create tips of ears. You have all kinds of applications you can use with this dermal wax. Your imagination is really your limits with this dermal wax. The dermal wax, because it is wax based, if it's hot, sometimes you'll get some movement on it, but I've never really run into much of an issue. What you'll also want to do is the wax typically works best on like a bony area. You'll see we place it on her forehead, but if we were going to do a nose piece, we'd want to keep it on the bony areas. If we brought that down to her, like around her mouth, it would probably come loose as she was talking, so you'd want to keep it on the bony areas of the face. That's going to be the best place for the dermal wax. Any questions on that wax application?
No, I have a question on how to use my phone. So I'm trying to get a photo for.
Gotcha. So we're going to just do a quick review. What we did is we just got a little bit of spirit gum to use as an anchor. We then got a little bit of the wax. We warmed it up by kneading it with our fingertips. We placed it on a bony area here of DJ Black Juju's forehead. And we're just and what we then did is we then coated it with latex, just so we can give it some protection. And then as soon as this latex dries, we're going to go ahead and paint it. And then you'll see that this is a quick, fast application. But while that's drying, I'm going to pull out just one other thing. I'm going to step out of screen here real quick, and I'm just going to pull out some powder. All right, for those of you who watch the Tuesday at 7 streaming, you see me use powders and latex and dermal wax quite often, but what I'm using is just some makeup powder. And I'm going to go ahead and just do some contouring and some modeling. It has a very much of an kind of an airbrush feel, because this powder is nice and soft. This is great for theater. This is great even if you're just kind of creating a subtle look for some type of outing or theatrical thing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to contour half of the face so we can compare one side with the other.
Everyone's going to show up at the Halloween party with a bullet hole in their forehead and a.
Oh yeah, what's you have a party coming up on?
We do. We have an annual masquerade ball that we do. Now it's not as formal as the Akron Civic Center Mask of the Red Death. It's very informal. I would say even more punk rock.
Oh.
It's this Saturday at Mayhall's. We've got guests, Bunny Money. It's an electronic artist, Glass Traps, a local, let's see, like rock band, art rock, F.U. Pay Me, punk local band, and the Flying Lutenbachers. They just did 3 shows in New York opening for the OCs, so they're all hot and warm to come down and melt brains at Mayhall's this Saturday. Doors are at 8 o'clock, and shows start around 9 o'clock, and it's costumes required, in fact. So, if
you don't have a costume yet? Time to go out and grab one, right?
Exactly. Or we'll provide something for you, a mustache or something to customize or change your
appearance. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have an idea yet, maybe some of this just basic special effects might add some inspiration behind your look. Again, all I'm doing is, this is makeup powder. It's just a, same as, I mean, I don't do beauty makeup, but the same idea is you're contouring. You're just kind of working with your model's face, kind of accentuating different areas. You want to really kind of show the structure of the face. You can work against the structure of the face, but working with the structure is actually easier and usually more believable.
So is that wax and latex up there drying? Is it just in standby? Do we need to worry about it? Or are we purposefully waiting for the latex?
Purposely waiting for the latex to dry. You'll see like a little bit on the inside. How are we on time there? We good there?
Pretty good, yeah.
You'll see there's a little bit of latex that is just on the inside here, just drying. So as soon as that dries, then we're just going to go in and paint that.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured while we're waiting, we can do a little bit of this contouring on the one side because it has, I think it has a great look, a great application. Again, nothing terribly fancy here, just kind of contouring. And
can you just use like eyeshadow or something if you didn't have special?
You know what? If you had a powder that was darker, you certainly could.
So like an eyeshadow powder would work?
Yeah, you could probably grind it down, get a brush that allows you to apply it thinly, and then just go to town. Again, not trying to get crazy fancy here because you just want to provide something that was maybe more beginner, but will allow somebody to have a great look and success from the very beginning. Now, TJ Juju here has a beautiful face, and so to kind of draw out some areas is a little bit of a challenge. If you're someone like me and you're older, you just kind of draw on the lines that are already there. They're already there. Otherwise, we're kind of inventing these here on the fly.
Well, wrinkles are beautiful too.
Yeah, that's what I keep. That's what I keep telling folks, and I do believe that certainly. As you're seeing, I just have a very small amount of powders. You don't need a ton of it, and use it sparingly. I always tell folks too to use the kind of the back of their hands or the palm of their hand as a palette, because you don't want to put too much powder into your brush right out of the gate. So, we're still good on time?
Probably do something.
All right, I'm gonna take a break. We'll let her cue, and then we'll come back and we'll finish out the latex, and then we'll do a little more painting here with the powders, and then we'll call a day. Go ahead and let you cue it, and then we'll get back to painting. For those who are watching Facebook Live, if there's any questions, let me know. Again, whether it's a live question or whether it's a question that comes up later on, just let us know. What I'm going to do is use.
We could do a gelatin. We're going to do a.
We could do a gelatin.
In the
well.
betweens.
Maybe.
Maybe on my arm, and I can get out of class tonight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a microwave? Is there a microwave close
There
here?
is. Yeah.
What I can do is we can. I think I have some gelatin cubes. We can do a special effects on a hand as well.
So, what would someone want to pick up at home if they were going to do a gelatin?
Yeah. So there's a couple different options here. You can use Noxum flavored gelatin, and you can also buy like a gelatin cube from an effects place. Because we have the internet and Amazon, you can order those items. I love to pick it up local, and again, we got some local folks you can pick it up at. I had mentioned them before, the makeup store, I think, which is where I get most of my makeup kit from. That's a great place to pick it up. Or I can use Noxum flavored gelatin and use just hot water and apply it that way. How are we looking?
All right.
Very good.
Just trying to get.
All right.
All right.
As soon as we cue up this music, we're just going to paint in this wax and kind of finish out that bullet hole effect. what I did is I brought our bruise wheel. It has a bunch of grease paints, mineral-based paints that are great for painting. This is a must grab for a makeup kit. It lasts for a long time. And then I have just a little bit of flesh grease paint too that we'll use to try to paint this in. So it has this bullet hole in, so it has a nice realistic look. And as we're queuing up this music, I'm gonna walk around. Oh, this is what I need right here. I'll grab another brush here. Any questions coming up, just shoot them out. All right.
I'm gonna step in and get a photo.
Yeah.
That's not.
Twist this way just a little bit. Yeah, like get one more like that one.
Yes.
Just contouring in the face a little bit.
Perfect.
All right. All right, I'm going to grab just a couple different options here to paint in this bullet hole.
Coming back in.
I'm just painting in the topography that already exists there. Kind of blending out these edges just a bit.
With the skin tone?
Yep. Skin tone. If you don't have skin tone, ladies, use your makeup. Guys, go to your wives, your girlfriends, your sisters' makeup, and you can get these flesh tones just kind of blended out.
And that's a cream.
Yeah, this is actually a grease-based makeup, and the reason why I like grease is because it allows you to blend. It doesn't dry out. And I'm using just a grease paint here for this application. If you remember, I got really chunky with this because I wanted it to be out. You could be subtle with this too if you wanted to. I just chose to go thick with this wax. So I'm gonna.
So it's a cream. Could you use like a foundation, a normal like makeup foundation color that matches? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I tell folks in makeup with effects makeup is there's safety rules. You don't want to be gluing people in. I've heard of people using super glues and things to glue things down. You just want to attend to safety. Keep things out of your eyes. Make sure you use clean materials. Be careful with special effects contacts, things like that. But outside of that, yeah, you can absolutely. I mean, think about paint. You can mix paint. I wouldn't cover yourself from head to toe with acrylic paint, but using makeup, things that are intended for the skin, is great. And I would certainly say that's exactly what you want to do, is experiment a little bit. All right, I'm going to step back around here and just grab a little bit of white. I'm going to highlight this out. Then I'm going to add some color into it. Again, you're going to see this isn't anything terribly complex. You don't need to hire a special effects makeup guy to do this stuff. This is just something that is going to be a quick, casting all kinds of shadows here. You'll see here I'm just kind of hitting some highlights. I'm going to drop some. Yeah. I'm painting it down over the skin, just to kind of hide the seams. You'll see I'm using the back of my hand. Make sure I don't put too much paint on my brush. Even just kind of dot out.
I'm going to get in real close, so I got you.
Good.
Okay. You got room?
Yeah. Just kind of painting here. The skin has irregular patterns, and so to get in there and paint really evenly, I think is actually taken away from the realism a little bit. I just was putting down a base. What I'm going to do now, just to kind of quickly finish it off, I don't want you to get concerned that, oh, this is too involved for me. I'm just grabbing my bruise wheel and kind of add some color in here. Again, since this is a
bruise wheel.
Bruise wheel.
Let's look at that bruise wheel.
Yeah.
Colors are.
So I'm actually using, I think comes in, but yeah, that's not backwards. This is the, can you see that there?
There, perfect.
There's the bruise wheel, and you'll see that it has the bloody rose, midnight sky. I can't read that without my glasses. Burnt maroon. What does it say? Spanish olive and a yellow, a maize yellow.
Let's see those colors if somebody wants to make a, yeah, sweet. Bruise wheel.
There you go. And I'm just going to use this bruise wheel to kind of add, got a little bit of white in there, I don't want that. Add a little bit of dark here in the middle. Again, as an artist, we tend to belabor our painting. So this is where you can spend a lot of time, or you can take some quick shortcuts and kind of jump out. I'm just going to grab a little dark reds here. Paint the inside. Going to kind of blast out that very bottom there. Then I'm going to grab.
Coming in for color shot.
Yeah, do that. Your colors, this is a fresher one, so I don't need to use the different colors like the greens. That would be more of a healing wound. This is a fresh one. We're going to put some blood on here, not so it has to drip on down on the clothing, but just to add a little bit of a gore look here as well. Again, not trying to get terribly fancy here, just do a quick demo. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out some blood. We're going to finish this up, and then we're going to do a little bit more contouring, just so we can get that into this demo as well. Do we have any questions out there for anybody yet? All right.
Hello, Susie Reed. Susie Reed, Sebastian.
Susie Reed's out there. All right, what I'm going to
clicking
do
the
here
wave
is,
button.
if you're a special effects makeup artist or you're not, you probably have some favorite bloods. What I typically do is, if you can, open it up, take a look at it. I kind of like the thicker bloods because they give a nice feel.
Oh, here's a question. Do you use color set with this look?
Color set. Who's asking the question?
That is Michelle Sinclair.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what I will usually do, Michelle, is I think that what I find myself doing is, once I paint it, I'll usually use a barrier spray. I think that's what you're talking about, kind of setting that color. You could use a barrier spray on this with the colors we're using. You can skip that step, but it's one that certainly is not going to hamper anything. I would use the barrier spray on the powders, certainly, and we'll probably even do that. Thanks, Michelle, for bringing that comment up. I'm just going to put a little more in here.
Where are you going after this?
I do some grocery shopping.
Grocery
Go on a
shopping?
date,
All right, so any questions? Again, we'll just do that quick wax application. I know that the colors on Facebook are a little different than in live life.
But what about, so with this white, the wax, is that going to stay white waxy looking?
Well,
or do you paint over it then with the...
You have the option of doing whatever you want to.
Right?
So if we were going to be just walking around in regular light, we'd probably want to have her step out and do a quick look. And if you're going to be 10 inches or 12 inches from somebody or 3 feet, then that's where you'd want to that's where you want to test it. But if you step back, if you're 5 foot back, sometimes you want those highlights and shadows in there. So for the most part, I think with effects makeup, you want to know what type of light you're going to be under. You want to see how far you're going to be away from people, maybe from an audience if you're in theater. If it's just face to face, you'd be like, yeah, I want this to be a completely realistic look, and you may be going in there and blending out all that. But I put the white in there so that it would add some highlights. But if you wanted to tone that down, you could just get some flesh tones. If you wanted to tone it down and you just kind of step back and go, a little bit too many highlights or whatever, you could just tone it down that way, just by going back over and adding some more of the flesh tones into the painting. Does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah. So it's really a matter of preference, and what we're doing is we're painting. We're just happen to be painting on somebody's face, a three-dimensional surface, as opposed to painting maybe traditionally like on a canvas. If I was really trying to create a realistic look, I'd be spending time in this painting and kind of tapping out. I might be adding some colors way outside of this this kind of bullet hole, but it really just becomes down to preference in painting. Now that we've got that bullet hole in place, we're just going to do a little more contouring here, and then we're going to sign off. If you remember before, what I was doing was, we need are we good on sound?
We got something going on. I think we have to do a station ID.
Yes, we do.
Do you want to just do that live?
Yeah. You're listening to WCSB Cleveland. Stay tuned.
All right. We're still not on the air, are we?
What is a good paint set for a beginner to buy?
I would say a bruise wheel is a perfect place to start. You get a bruise wheel for less than $20, and because it's grease paint, it'll last you for 10 years. Other than that, what I would say is based upon your models or what you're planning on doing, you can buy some flesh tones to go along with that. Grease paint is a good place to start. After that, and then I'm going to walk over this way.
Walk
Because
this
after
way.
that, we probably the more used, I would say, when you get into more professional application or paint, you then get into alcohol-based. Skin Illustrator, alcohol-activated paint. These are great ones to have in your kit. If you're newer and you have the money, I'd buy the Skin Illustrator or some other alcohol-activated paints. Here's some alcohol-activated as well. These are the flesh tones. So you could go in and paint that bullet hole with these as well. And it's just your preference. What are you trying to accomplish? Are you going to be in low light? Are you going to be in bright light? Are you going to be far away? Are you going to be close to your audience or the camera? And that would determine what paints you use, what materials you use, how bold you are in the highlights. Sometimes you go too subtle, you're going to miss it. Sometimes you go too bold, and then it looks unrealistic. So you just have to ask those components of yourself and of the project. We're just going to finish out.
Glass Traps are playing at the Halloween Ball this Saturday at Mayhall's. It's a free show. So we got this kind of awesome. I'm going in, zooming into the Halloween Ball artwork. Yeah. Oh, the stick is. Haha.
All I'm doing here is I'm just grabbing some highlight here. These are just powders.
Victoria, who asked that question about the brand, it was European Body Art.
Yeah,
the brand.
Yeah, the alcohol base I used the European Body Art, and then I had a special effects with Skin Illustrator. Those are the two options that I just showed you now. Those are available here to pick up. There's kind of my contact and the makeup store in Parma that has all these materials that you can even pick it up as opposed to spending mail or spending money to mail order it away. Again, these are just some simple powders. I'm just creating some highlights and some shadows here. Ladies, you already know this. If you're using beauty makeup, you're just contouring and shadowing, and that's what I'm doing here, just to show you some simple things you can do with just some makeup powders. And with that, do we have any other questions popping in here? If you have any, now would be the time to shoot those out because we're going to be closing down here soon, live. But if you have any questions later, go ahead and send them out and we'll respond to them. I know it's midday, and we had unexpected live demo, but we wanted to show it here live so you could see that as well as hear it. All right.
I think, can we go and do an on the air, on our WCSB air, over the main air, recap of what you've done?
Absolutely,
Excellent.
absolutely. So are we? Are we live here? Or are the?
We're still rolling.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is it ready for me? Are we on air right now?
We're gonna hit that right now.
Sounds good.
Welcome back, folks. Still got Roger Miller here, so want to tell us what you did?
Yeah, what we did here is we did a quick application. We used a derma wax. I used one that was actually called Cinewax. But you can grab other waxes, and we created a bullet hole here on DJ Black Juju's forehead. It's one that is simple. You can create any type of look with derma wax. You can change the shape of your nose. They're great for gore effects. If you're looking to create something that you might want to tip your ears, maybe it's some type of sci-fi or a fairy look, you can use that derma wax as well. We just use a little bit of spirit gum to create an anchor. We created the look using the wax. As soon as that wax application was down, we just used the back of a paintbrush to kind of create the bullet hole look. We then put a little bit of latex over the top of it just to create a skin. And then we painted it. We painted it using a bruise wheel, and that was it. So it was quick, it was easy. It allows you endless applications. And then what we did also is we just grabbed some powders, and we used the powders just to change the shape of the face. We used some darker powders, and we used some lighter powders. So we just were creating some darks, shadows, and then some lights, highlights to change the shape of the face. The dark colors you use kind of on the inset areas. You want to keep the highlights kind of on the bony areas. And then by artistically kind of placing them down the face, you can change the shape of the face. The important part is we've been talking here live Facebook is that you kind of have an idea about what you want to do, where you want to accomplish, what kind of light it's going to be in. If you're going to some type of gathering or it's under theatrical lights, if it's under green lights, you want to make sure that you do your makeup under the understanding that it's under green lights. If you do use some colors under different lighting, then you completely lose it. So just be aware of the lighting that you're going to be in, and then just have fun with it. As far as makeup, tend to safety things. If you buy stuff, look at the safety labels, and if you buy online, attend to that. But outside of the safety things, just have fun, go to town.
My mother's writing in, wants to know if you can put a brain worm going in or out of the hole.
Absolutely. So you could do really anything with it. I know that there's even you can use. We had talked about latex. Latex is a great just kind of liquid rubber that you can glue things in. You could mix things in a latex. If you had kind of a fishing worm, you could push that in as a prop and have it go into a hole. You can use different stuff even from the kitchen. I've had people take a look at things like noodles and mix it in, and it has kind of a nice effect. So have fun with it. You could go to town with it. Again, outside of those safety things, use your imagination and have fun.
Awesome. All this in preparation for the big Halloween weekend. We've got our WCSB Masquerade and Bowling Ball this Saturday at Mayhall's, doors at 8. It's a free show with glass traps, bunny money, flying Lutenbachers, and F You Pay Me. So looking forward to that. Roger will be busy that night in Akron at the Akron Civic Center for the Mask of the Red Death. It's a formal wear masquerade party down in Akron. And there's lots of other fun things going on this weekend. Check out your local listings for your Halloween haunt hike. That could be the Beachland, the Grog Shop. That could be Now That's Class for the Babe Bash. But we hope at some point to see you at Mayhall's. This is WCSB Cleveland.
Thanks. We'll sign off here. Hey, thanks guys for joining in. If you're watching this later and you have questions, go ahead and flip those over and we'll answer them even at a later time. And thanks for being the camera person,
Well,
Helen, as well.
You're welcome.